Okay, we're talking more epidemiology from Hidden History of Nutrition and Health by me, Pete Rogers. So basically, anywhere you look, it's always the same. Low-fat, plant-based diet eaters, they're healthy, okay? And people who eat high-fat diets, they're fat and sick, okay? Paleo, keto, carnivore is just nonsense, and the modern Mediterranean diet is mostly nonsense, just a way to keep the pros confused and sell them stuff. Okay, so northern Mexico, there's a population called Tarahumara. They live in Copper Canyon area. It's in the Sierra Madre mountains. Sierra means like a saw. The tops of the mountains look like a saw. They're world famous ultramarathoners. There's a big holiday every year. They can run like over 100 miles in 2 days. All the guys in town can do it, not just the fat guy. The women have a similar holiday where they run like 50 miles in 2 days. Okay, can you imagine if every man in your town could run 100 miles and every woman could run 50 miles? They're pretty fit. Their diet's, probably in the ballpark of around 13% fat, but they don't have any cars. They do go everywhere on foot, running around in the mountains. So their main diet is local greens, corn, beans. They do eat some chia seeds, okay? And they're just incredible runners. A lot of people have gone to visit them, American ultramarathoners have gone to visit them. Ruth Heidrich went to visit them, the lady who won all the triathlons and whatnot, who's a vegan who went low-fat vegan, and she survived breast cancer metastatic for over 40 years, about 45 years now. She's still alive in her 90s. The Pima, after the Mexican-American War in 1848, were absorbed into what is now Arizona, and they eat a SAD diet, standard American diet, and they're fat and sick. They have very high rates of gallstones, diabetes, coronary artery disease, hypertension, all that stuff. It's always that way, and the reason I show you this as a good epidemiology example is because they're genetically the same as the Tarahumara. Because people try to talk about genetics. Genetics has very little significance with regard to the Western diseases. Whenever you feed any group of humans these diets, the westernized high-fat diets, they get fat and sick. It's always that way. Let's see, what else? They also, the Tarahumara, they don't have any hypertension. They don't have any diabetes. Nobody's overweight. They don't get any coronary artery atherosclerosis, okay? Whereas the Pima, they're a bunch of train wrecks for health. And I'm telling you, it's as obvious as it gets. So here's a drawing of Tarahumara versus Pima. The Pima got all the Western diseases, They get abdominal pressure syndrome, appendicitis, diverticulitis. They got the gallstones. They go for open heart surgery, cabbages, coronary artery bypass graft, a lot of cataracts, thyroid disease, cardiac pacemakers, below knee amputation. Whereas Tarahumara, total body energy. They're running around like crazy. Nathan Pritikin was so impressed by the Tarahumara, he patterned his diet after him. The Pritikin diet. And, Nathan Pritikin said, there's no natural diet that's high in fat. Oh, there's another population in South America now, the Yanomamo, and they live in the Amazon jungle, sort of on the border of Venezuela and Brazil. They also eat primarily plant-based diets. They don't add any sodium to their diet. They only get about 200 milligrams of sodium per day. They got normal blood pressure all their life into their 70s. Their diet's high in fiber, wild bananas, seasonal fruits, plantains, palm hearts, cassava, occasional little bit of meat. And, again, so these guys, all these backward, illiterate guys running around, hunter-gatherers in the jungle, don't have any of the Western diseases. There's also monkey studies. One of their main researchers was a guy named Armstrong. And basically, the more you lower fat, the more you can reverse coronary artery disease, atherosclerosis. And basically, all oils are atherogenic. And, Jeff Nelson over at VegSource just made a video on this recently. If you want to prevent atherosclerosis, you got to keep dietary fat below 15%. That's kind of a good threshold to know. And if you want to reverse it, the lower you get it, the better. Get it down. Kempner, when he was reversing congestive heart failure, atrial fibrillation, coronary artery disease, he was getting dietary fat down to 3%. 3%. Remember that, because the Mediterranean diet, as it's taught nowadays, is typically about 40% fat. That's more than 10 times as much fat. The Esselstyn diet was more than 30 times, about 32 times more effective at preventing coronary artery cardiovascular events than was the Mediterranean diet. You need to know that because that's the difference between being alive or dead. It's the difference between being healthy or being sick. And this is not that complicated. The only reason it seems complicated is because you keep hearing contradictory information, because there's billions of dollars of invested money in trying to keep the pros sick and confused and eating junk food and stuff. So anyways, it's here, and it's all consistent. Like McDougall said, there's no contradiction. And Esselstyn said the same thing. Anywhere you go in the world, you'll see the people who eat these low-fat plant-based diets, they don't get the Western diseases of hypertension, diabetes, coronary artery disease. And that's really a whole bunch of other diseases are all packed in with that. Breast cancer, abdominal pressure syndrome, etc. And as Jeff Nelson said in his recent video about fat, T. Colin Campbell told him the key thing is just keep that total dietary fat below 15% and avoid animal protein, okay? Animal protein, as T. Colin Campbell had said in his book China Study and whatnot, it has an anabolic effect whereby increasing the rates of cell replication, activating mTOR, it signals to the liver that more cholesterol is needed to build the new cells, and the liver pumps out cholesterol, so it raises blood cholesterol, okay? And there's a lot of cholesterol that comes from the liver. It's just not, the cholesterol you have in your body is not just dietary cholesterol. The majority of it's coming from the liver. So anyways, I hope you found that helpful.